The 70s was a time of big hair, questionable fashion choices, and hearty Christmas traditions that made every festive season truly memorable. And you know what? Some of these quirks have stuck around, bringing that timeless joy every December. Let's step back to the decade of bell-bottoms and disco balls to relive those beloved holiday customs that continue to make British Christmases feel just right. It all started in early December with an onslaught of Christmas cards from every distant relative, co-worker, neighbor, and vaguely remembered acquaintance. By mid-month, living room shelves were overflowing and walls became makeshift card galleries. Everyone's postman did more overtime in December than the rest of the year combined. He was usually a bit more cheerful and smiled a lot more in hopes of a cheeky Christmas bonus from those on his normal route. Times were tough back then, so this was rarely more than a £1 note. And those Christmas cards weren't just a Merry Christmas either. Some contained family updates, lengthy messages, or poems from that one uncle who fancied himself a budding poet. Don't forget, of course, the traditions of sending a Christmas card to Santa, a tradition that could be traced back to the late 1800s. These days, many families still keep the various card traditions alive, filling up mantelpieces and remembering the days when sending a card was as essential as decorating the tree. Come Christmas morning, the biggest tradition was the turkey. And not just any turkey. This bird was practically the main event. It took hours, if not days, of preparation as everyone swore by their own family recipe. Some slathered it in butter, some stuffed it with herbs, and a few brave souls wrapped it in bacon. But let's be honest, no matter the prep, someone always checked on it every 30 minutes to make sure it wasn't drying out. After all that turkey fuss, the side dishes made their triumphant appearance. Roasted potatoes, crispy on the outside and fluffy inside. Cauliflower cheese topped with breadcrumbs and baked until golden brown. Boiled carrots that would melt in your mouth. Parsnips covered in honey that brought a smile with every bite. Carrot and swede mash, a family favorite. And finally, the Marmite of Christmas veggies, the sprouts, which divided most families and friends. It was a glorious feast that, in true British fashion, would not be complete without a jug of Bisto gravy at the center. Once the plates from the main course were cleared, it was time for the Christmas pudding, a grand affair. Each family had their ritual, whether soaking it in brandy a week in advance or setting it ablaze at the table for a dramatic presentation. And there was always a sixpence or penny hidden inside, which was an exciting, slightly hazardous game of who's going to crack a tooth on the coin this year. And the pudding was accompanied by another 70s favorite, bread sauce. Yes, creamy, starchy bread sauce that somehow made it onto the table. Beloved by some, baffling to others, but undeniably a tradition. Before we move forward, if you're enjoying this trip down memory lane, then please give us a like and subscribe. Okay, let's keep going. Every year at 3 p.m. sharp, families gathered around the TV set for the Queen's speech, a short but heartfelt message that became a staple of British Christmases. No matter what was going on, people tuned in to hear Her Majesty's thoughts on the year past. Sure, not everyone paid close attention, but there was something warm and reassuring about her familiar voice echoing through the living room. It was a ritual that felt like a cozy reminder of resilience and togetherness, a feeling that hasn't faded over the years. She will definitely be missed this year, but we look forward to seeing if the King can live up to the Queen's long-standing tradition that millions of families across Britain tuned in for each Christmas. Let's talk about those classic British Christmas crackers, the ultimate table accessory. Each person grabbed an end and tugged, hoping for a loud pop, and out fell a flimsy hat, a small plastic toy, and of course a painfully corny joke that everyone read aloud with exaggerated eye rolls. Why was the turkey in the pop group? He was the only one with drumsticks. It was groan-worthy, and everyone secretly loved it. Paper hats? Non-negotiable. As soon as they came out, every grandparent, aunt, and rebellious teenager had to wear theirs, even if it was just for the family photo. If there was one thing guaranteed to bring the family together, it was the TV specials. In the 1970s, Christmas TV was pure gold. From Morecambe and Wise to The Two Ronnies, and a generous dose of holiday classics like The Snowman or Doctor Who, the lineup was an event all on its own. The family would huddle around the TV, flicking through the TV guide and circling shows with a pen to make sure not a moment was missed. This would quickly turn into either downright chaos or a civilized voting system when families would realize some of their favorite shows would be on different channels at the same time. To this day, it's a tradition that hasn't faded. Who doesn't love a Christmas special to cap off a perfect day? Boxing Day, the unofficial holiday for turkey for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert? Dig into leftover turkey sandwiches, bubble and squeak, and other bits of Christmas dinner. But it wasn't just about food. It was a day for board games, Monopoly, Cluedo, charades, Trivial Pursuit, Scrabble, games that could last hours, and tests of knowledge that would cause good-natured bickering. Winning was one thing, but avoiding flipping the Monopoly board or controlling the urge to shout out the answer to a clearly obvious charade? Now that was the real challenge. Boxing Day was a day to let the Christmas cheer carry on just a little bit longer, even if the house was still cluttered with wrapping paper, cracker prizes, and ripped paper crowns. No British Christmas was complete without a bit of carol singing. And back in the day, there was no shame in belting out "O Come All Ye Faithful" at the top of your lungs. For those who braved the chilly air, caroling groups went door to door. Picture this, a group of scrappy kids bundled up on Christmas Eve, convinced they can make a few pence caroling. They started off strong at Mrs. Jenkins' door, belting jingle bells, and she rewards them with a shiny twopence. Feeling bold, they decide to switch up the lyrics at the next house. Deck the halls with lots of money. They barely get through the first fa la la before the door swings open and a grumpy voice mutters, "Shouldn't you be home helping your mums? Clear off." Thud. The door slams shut. The kids just stare, then burst out laughing, trudging homes with pockets light, but hearts full. After all, it's the memories, not the money, that makes a British Christmas special. Then there was the Midnight Mass, the magical church service that brought communities together at the stroke of midnight to celebrate the true meaning of Christmas. The candles, the hymns, the quiet reverence. It was a reminder of the heart of Christmas. As the festive day wound down and the main courses and puddings were all but demolished, there was still one last piece of Christmas glory. The cheeseboard. Brought out as the grand finale, this spread featured a lineup that would make any Brit proud. Stilton, cheddar, and maybe a tangy Wensleydale, alongside those waxy red baby bells. Everyone had their own technique when it came to the cheeseboard. There were blue cheese lovers reveling in the pungent Stilton's festive strength, and the mild cheddar fans who piled it high on crackers. And let's not forget the homemade pickled onions and chutneys piled on for good measure. For some, the cheeseboard was practically a meal in itself, a sacred, delicious ritual that meant Christmas wasn't quite over yet. And like so many other Christmas customs, the cheeseboard lives on today, a perfect way to wind down the evening with loved ones, savoring every last bite of holiday bliss. Christmas traditions have changed over the years, but when we look back, it's clear that those growing up in the 1970s celebrated with much of the same cheer, laughter, and heart that we do today. Some traditions endure, timeless as ever. Others evolve with technology or grow as our tastes get bolder and curiosity sparks new ideas. So here's to a good old-fashioned British Christmas, a time where the fire crackles, the jokes are gloriously corny, and the only thing warmer than the mulled wine is the company we share it with. May we all make memories that will live on, just like the best Christmas traditions. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to stay tuned for part 2.